Most people think gut issues only mean digestive symptoms, constipation, bloating, indigestion, but the truth is far more concerning. There is a silent epidemic of gut and microbiome damage happening today, and many individuals are completely unaware their daily symptoms are rooted in the gut. Fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, stubborn belly fat despite dieting, brain fog that makes simple tasks difficult, unpredictable mood swings, skin flare-ups like acne or eczema, joint aches, autoimmune flares. These are not random, and they very often trace back to impaired gut function and microbial imbalance. The gut is the central biological hub of the human body. It houses nearly 70% of the immune system, produces key neurotransmitters for focus and emotional stability, regulates metabolism and blood sugar, and communicates directly with the brain and mitochondria. When the gut lining becomes permeable and beneficial bacteria are depleted, the immune system becomes overstimulated, inflammation rises, and mitochondria, the engines that power every cell, start to struggle. What follows is a cascade of systemic dysfunction. This is why gut symptoms frequently do not present as digestive complaints at all. Instead, they manifest as chronic tiredness, slowed metabolism, weight that will not move, hormonal imbalance, migraines, sleep disturbances, poor stress tolerance, and neurological changes. Leaky gut and microbiome disruption are major drivers of chronic inflammation, autoimmunity, insulin resistance, and metabolic slowdown. The earlier we recognize the signs, the faster we can reverse the damage. The goal here is to reveal the hidden markers of gut-related dysfunction, help you understand the biological mechanisms behind them, and show you how to start repairing your gut barrier, reducing inflammation, repopulating beneficial microbes, and restoring full system health naturally and rapidly. The gut-brain axis is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful biological communication pathways in the body. When the gut ecosystem becomes disrupted, the brain does not function properly, and this is not a vague wellness idea, it is rooted in biochemistry. Most people think mood issues, anxiety, irritability, low motivation, and foggy thinking are psychological problems or simply the result of stress or poor sleep. In reality, for a large percentage of people experiencing these issues, the origin lies in the gut. The gut is responsible for producing nearly 95% of the body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter associated with emotional balance, motivation, sleep quality, and feelings of well-being. It also produces dopamine precursors and key postbiotic compounds that support focus, learning, and resilience. When the gut lining is inflamed and the microbial ecosystem is disturbed, a state called dysbiosis, serotonin and dopamine pathways begin to falter. The result is emotional instability, lack of drive, and a sense of mental heaviness. Beyond neurotransmitters, a damaged gut produces inflammatory cytokines, chemical messengers that signal distress to the brain. These cytokines can cross the blood-brain barrier, triggering neuroinflammation. When the brain becomes inflamed, cognitive speed drops, memory becomes unreliable, motivation fades, and stress tolerance decreases. This is why so many individuals with gut imbalance describe feeling overwhelmed by small tasks or easily irritated by minor stresses. They are not weak or undisciplined, their nervous system is inflamed, and the gut-brain communication loop is malfunctioning. Neuroinflammation also affects sleep-wake cycles, which further aggravates mood instability and mental fatigue. Poor sleep increases gut permeability, and gut permeability increases inflammation that disrupts sleep, creating a self-reinforcing cycle. Mitochondria, the energy factories in every cell, are especially sensitive to inflammatory signals originating from the gut. When mitochondria experience stress, energy production declines. Low mitochondrial output in the brain presents as sluggish thinking, difficulty concentrating, slower processing speed, and an inability to sustain mental effort. Many people describe this as brain fog, But in functional physiology, it is a mitochondrial dysfunction state driven by immune activation and microbial imbalance. The brain is a high-energy organ, and when its fuel system falters, emotional regulation and cognitive sharpness decline. This is why anxiety and lack of motivation often appear alongside fatigue and digestive discomfort. They are not separate problems, but expressions of the same core disruption. Conventional approaches typically overlook this connection. Standard care often labels these symptoms as psychological or prescribes medication aimed at modulating brain chemistry without addressing the original disruption occurring in the gut. While medication can play a role in symptom relief, it does not resolve the inflammatory gut signaling or restore microbial integrity. Similarly, many individuals attempt to compensate with caffeine, stimulants, or intense productivity habits, but without repairing the gut barrier and microbiome, they continue to operate in an energy deficit state and eventually crash. This is also why diets high in sugar, processed carbohydrates, and artificial additives worsen mood instability. They feed inflammatory microbes, damage the gut lining, and impair neurotransmitter balance. A more effective root cause approach acknowledges that emotional resilience and cognitive performance rely on a healthy gut environment. When beneficial bacteria are fed with fiber-rich whole foods, polyphenols, fermented foods, and targeted prebiotics, they produce metabolites that reduce inflammation and enhance neurotransmitter stability. When gut permeability is repaired through adequate nutrients such as glutamine, zinc, omega-3 fats, and anti-inflammatory compounds found in natural whole foods, inflammatory signaling decreases and the nervous system calms. When sugar and ultra-processed foods are removed, the gut no longer becomes a breeding ground for dysbiotic organisms that produce neurotoxic byproducts. Supporting digestion through mindful eating, stress reduction, and circadian, rhythm-aligned sleep further stabilizes the gut-brain axis. The body begins to shift from a reactive inflammatory state into a restorative energy-efficient state. With inflammation lowering, mitochondria recover, energy production increases, mental clarity returns, and emotional steadiness improves. Many individuals describe this transformation as if a fog has been lifted, tasks feel manageable again. Thoughts become sharper, mood stabilizes, and motivation naturally resurfaces. Instead of pushing through mental exhaustion, the mind regains its natural vitality. The path forward is not simply calming the mind through willpower or coping strategies alone, but restoring the gut environment so the brain can receive balanced neurotransmitters, clean signaling, and stable energy supply. Repair the gut and the brain follows. A nourished microbiome produces tranquility, confidence, focus, and emotional resilience. This is not a quick mental trick. It is a biological restoration process that rebuilds the foundation of clear thinking and calm mood from the inside out. The metabolism does not slow down randomly with age or simply because of calories. One of the most overlooked drivers of stubborn weight gain, food cravings, and blood sugar instability is a disrupted gut microbiome. The gut directly influences metabolic hormones such as insulin, cortisol, thyroid hormones, leptin, and ghrelin. When beneficial bacteria are thriving, they help regulate appetite, stabilize blood glucose, and support fat burning. But when dysbiosis occurs, a loss of beneficial microbes and an overgrowth of inflammatory organisms, the hormonal signaling that governs hunger and metabolism becomes confused. The result is persistent cravings, especially for sugars and refined carbohydrates, difficulty fasting, emotional eating, and a sense that the body is working against you. A damaged gut lining allows toxic fragments from harmful bacteria to leak into the bloodstream. This triggers the immune system and elevates inflammatory cytokines. These inflammatory signals interfere with insulin sensitivity, which means the body must release more insulin to manage the same amount of glucose. Chronically high insulin locks fat inside cells, especially around the abdomen, and blocks access to stored energy. This is why individuals with gut imbalance often describe constantly feeling hungry, experiencing blood sugar crashes, or waking up in the morning already tired and craving starch or caffeine. It is not a matter of weak discipline, it is biochemical miscommunication driven by inflammation. The microbiome also influences cortisol, the stress hormone. When the gut is inflamed, cortisol rises, and elevated cortisol encourages fat storage around the midsection while breaking down muscle tissue. This creates a metabolic double bind. Decreased muscle reduces metabolic flexibility, while increased visceral fat fuels additional inflammation. Many individuals find that no matter how clean they eat or how much they exercise, the midsection remains resistant. This is not a calorie problem, it is an inflammatory feedback loop originating in the gut. Thyroid metabolism is similarly affected. The gut assists with the conversion of T4, the inactive thyroid hormone, into T3, the active form that drives calorie burning and cellular energy. Dysbiosis and leaky gut impair this conversion, leaving the body in a low-energy state. People may feel cold, tired, mentally slow, and prone to fluid retention, yet their thyroid labs can appear normal. In functional terms, the thyroid is not malfunctioning, the gut is no longer enabling proper hormone activation. When digestion is weak, nutrients required for thyroid function, such as selenium, iodine, zinc, and B vitamins, are not absorbed efficiently, further suppressing metabolic rate. Cravings and binge-eating tendencies also intensify with gut disruption. Certain dysbiotic bacteria and yeasts actually feed on sugar and release chemicals that manipulate appetite. They create strong urges for fast food, sweets, bread, and processed snacks because those foods help them multiply. People often describe a feeling as though the cravings aren't them. Biologically, that is accurate. It is the microbial ecosystem influencing behavior. This loss of metabolic autonomy explains why many individuals can fast when healthy but struggle to go longer than a few hours without food when the gut is compromised. Their mitochondria are not receiving clean signals, so they cannot efficiently access stored fat for energy. The encouraging truth is that metabolism is rarely broken. In most cases, it is inflamed and signaled. When the gut barrier is repaired and beneficial microbes are restored, inflammation falls, appetite normalizes, cravings diminish, and insulin sensitivity improves. The body naturally begins to burn fat rather than store it. Short-chain fatty acids produced by beneficial bacteria help regulate glucose metabolism and reduce visceral fat accumulation. Satiety hormones such as leptin begin to function properly, meaning the body can recognize fullness and stop eating without effort or restriction. The nervous system becomes calmer, making fasting and clean eating feel natural rather than forced. Restoring gut health through whole foods rich in fiber and polyphenols, fermented foods, targeted probiotics, adequate protein, minerals, omega-3 fatty acids, and lifestyle foundations such as proper sleep and stress regulation reactivates metabolic efficiency. As the gut heals, energy stabilizes, cravings fade, body composition shifts, and fasting becomes easier. The process does not require extreme dieting, it requires biological repair. When the internal ecosystem is balanced, the body stops fighting for survival and begins operating in a state of metabolic clarity. Healing the gut is the key that unlocks a responsive, fat-burning metabolism and restores the natural rhythm of hunger, energy, and weight regulation. A healthy immune system depends on a healthy gut, and this connection is far stronger than most people realize. Many individuals believe their frequent colds, sinus flare-ups, allergies, skin rashes, recurring infections, or joint aches are isolated issues, perhaps genetic, seasonal, or simply signs of getting older. In reality, the majority of immune dysfunction begins in the gut. Around 70% of the immune system is located along the gut lining, constantly monitoring the bacteria, viruses, food particles, and biochemical signals that pass through. When the gut barrier is intact and the microbiome balanced, the immune system operates with efficiency and intelligence. It knows what to ignore, what to tolerate, and what to attack. But when the gut becomes inflamed, permeable, or imbalanced, the immune system loses clarity and shifts into a constant state of alert. In this heightened state, bacterial toxins and food proteins leak into the bloodstream, a process known as metabolic endotoxemia. The immune system interprets these molecules as threats and launches chronic, low-grade inflammatory responses. Over time, this drains energy and destabilizes immune tolerance. People begin to develop new sensitivities, histamine reactions, and unexplained inflammatory symptoms. Skin may become reactive, eczema may flare, eyes may itch, sinuses may stay congested, and joints may feel stiff or swollen despite no obvious injury. Many individuals also report that they catch everything going around. Recovering slowly from minor illnesses or feeling run down after small exposures, it is not that their immune system is weak, it is misdirected, exhausted, and overworked. Dr. Myhill's core principle applies here. Energy is finite, and the body must allocate it wisely. A chronically activated immune system consumes enormous amounts of mitochondrial energy. Mitochondria fuel the immune response, producing ATP to power the cells that defend the body. When the immune system is always switched on, mitochondria cannot prioritize energy for other essential functions such as muscle recovery, hormone regulation, detoxification, cognitive performance, and emotional stability. This is why chronic inflammation and gut permeability so often lead to fatigue. The body is not lacking willpower or nutrients, it is pouring energy into immune defense rather than everyday function. Autoimmunity is another consequence of this immune overactivation. When the immune system is constantly stimulated by gut-derived triggers, it may begin attacking the body's own tissues. Thyroid autoimmunity, joint autoimmunity, and skin autoimmunity frequently share roots in microbial imbalance and compromised gut integrity. This does not mean these conditions are simple, but it does mean the gut often plays a foundational role that conventional care may overlook. Likewise, allergies and asthma are strongly influenced by microbiome diversity. When beneficial bacteria decline, the immune system becomes prone to allergic responses, reacting strongly to benign environmental triggers. Inflammation in the gut also increases inflammatory messaging throughout the body, affecting blood vessels, nerves, connective tissue, and even the brain. This is why some people experience headaches, muscle tension, elevated heart rate, or fluctuations in temperature and pain sensitivity. The inflammation does not stay in the digestive tract it travels. Chronic inflammatory burden can also make recovery from exercise slower and lead to a feeling of heaviness or soreness that does not match the level of exertion. The immune system, mitochondria, and gut operate as one integrated system, and strain in one area inevitably burdens the others. Healing the gut has a profound impact on restoring immune intelligence. When the gut barrier is repaired and the microbial ecosystem regains balance, the immune system receives clearer signals and begins to calm. Regulatory immune cells increase, inflammation decreases, and tolerance improves, meaning the body becomes better at distinguishing between real threats and harmless substances. Anti-inflammatory metabolites from beneficial bacteria strengthen tissue resilience, nourish immune cells, and support mitochondrial energy output. With the immune system no longer burning fuel around the clock, energy becomes available again for daily vitality, mental clarity, and metabolic function. This repair process is supported through nutrient-dense whole foods, high-quality proteins, omega-3 fats, antioxidants, targeted probiotics, prebiotic fibers, and lifestyle practices that encourage parasympathetic regulation, such as deep breathing, sunlight exposure, restorative sleep, and gentle movement, reducing ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, alcohol excess, and chronic stress reduces the inflammatory load on the gut barrier. As the internal environment shifts toward repair, many individuals notice fewer infections, calmer immune responses, improved allergy tolerance, clearer skin, and steadier joint comfort. They describe feeling more resilient, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, because the immune system and nervous system are deeply interconnected. Immune weakness is rarely a sign that the body is failing. It is often a signal that the immune system is overwhelmed and the gut barrier is compromised. By supporting gut integrity, reducing inflammatory triggers, and supplying the microbiome with what it needs to regulate immune signaling, the body moves from defense mode to repair mode. Strengthening the gut is not simply about digestion, it is about restoring immune strength, energy capacity, and long-term health stability from the inside out. Low energy and persistent fatigue are often treated as a mystery or blamed on lifestyle alone, yet in a great number of cases the origin lies in the gut. The digestive tract is not just a nutrient processing system, it is a biochemical command center affecting mitochondrial function in every cell. When the gut becomes inflamed or permeable, when beneficial microbes decline and harmful ones flourish, the mitochondria begin to falter. Endotoxins from dysbiotic bacteria enter circulation, activating the immune system and creating oxidative stress. These inflammatory molecules interfere with mitochondrial enzymes, slowing ATP production. The result is a body that feels heavy, sluggish, and underpowered, even if one appears outwardly healthy. Many people describe waking up tired regardless of how long they sleep. They may feel temporarily energized by coffee or adrenaline, but crash deeply in the afternoon. Others experience a wired but tired state in the evening, physically exhausted but mentally restless, unable to fully unwind or fall into restorative sleep. This pattern reflects dysregulated cortisol rhythm, itself often triggered by chronic low-grade inflammation originating in the gut. Cortisol is tightly linked to gut integrity and microbiome balance. When the gut is inflamed, cortisol secretion becomes erratic, leaving individuals drained during the day and overstimulated at night. Post-meal fatigue is another hallmark. Rather than feeling nourished after eating, individuals experience heaviness, fogginess, and an urge to rest. This occurs because digestion is energy intensive, and when the gut is compromised, the immune system is activated with each meal. Food particles crossing a leaky gut barrier trigger inflammatory signaling that diverts mitochondrial capacity away from energy production and toward immune defense. Instead of fueling the body, meals become a source of metabolic stress. This is why some people describe feeling most fatigued after eating carbohydrates or processed foods. These promote dysbiosis, blood sugar fluctuation, and inflammatory responses that further burden cellular energy systems. Exercise recovery also becomes impaired. In a healthy system, physical activity stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis and strengthens energy capacity. But when the gut is inflamed, exercise can feel draining rather than invigorating. Muscles take longer to recover, soreness lingers, and exertion that once felt manageable now feels overwhelming. This is not laziness or deconditioning. It is the consequence of mitochondrial stress and nutrient deficiency driven by impaired absorption. The gut lining is responsible for absorbing B vitamins, magnesium, zinc, and amino acids, all essential cofactors in ATP synthesis and mitochondrial repair. When the gut wall is weakened, these nutrients do not reach cells efficiently. B vitamins support the electron transport chain and neurotransmitter production. Magnesium stabilizes ATP and supports muscle energy. Amino acids repair tissues and build mitochondrial enzymes. Without them, energy generation becomes incomplete and inefficient. Poor nutrient absorption also interferes with carnitine levels, which are necessary to transport fats into mitochondria for burning. Many individuals with gut dysfunction struggle to use fat as fuel and describe feeling shaky, irritable, or unfocused when they go too long without eating. This often leads to frequent snacking and reliance on glucose for energy, perpetuating unstable blood sugar and metabolic stress. Over time, the body loses metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch between fuel sources naturally, and energy feels unpredictable and fragile. The nervous system also bears the effects of gut-driven mitochondrial impairment. The brain is highly energy-dependent, consuming more fuel per gram than any other organ. When mitochondria underperform, mental clarity declines. People describe searching for words, losing focus in conversations, or needing more effort to complete simple tasks. They may feel mentally present but cognitively sluggish, like trying to think through fog. This cognitive fatigue is not a psychological weakness. It is a symptom of impaired energy delivery to neurons. Improving energy requires reducing the inflammatory load on mitochondria and restoring nutrient availability, and this begins with healing the gut barrier and rebalancing the microbiome. When inflammation decreases, the immune system no longer consumes excess ATP, freeing energy for metabolism, cognition, and physical performance. Beneficial bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which fuel colon cells and support mitochondrial efficiency. A restored gut lining absorbs magnesium, B vitamins, and amino acids more effectively, allowing energy pathways to function smoothly. Blood sugar stabilizes, cortisol rhythms even out, and sleep quality improves, enabling deeper cellular repair overnight. As gut inflammation recedes, the body often experiences a noticeable rise in vitality. Morning fatigue lessens, mental clarity sharpens, and tasks feel easier. People describe greater resilience to stress, improved stamina during exercise, and a renewed sense of physical capacity. This shift is not a sudden motivational breakthrough, but a biological restoration, mitochondria finally operating without constant interference and energy once again flowing efficiently through the body. Skin, hair, and hormone imbalances are often treated as surface-level problems dealt with through creams, pills, and symptom-focused approaches when in reality, they often originate in the gut. The skin is an external mirror of internal inflammation, detoxification efficiency, and nutrient availability. When the gut lining becomes permeable and the microbiome becomes imbalanced, inflammatory byproducts leak into circulation, placing strain on the liver, immune system, and endocrine pathways. The body begins prioritizing survival over aesthetic repair. As a result, acne becomes persistent, eczema flares unpredictably, rosacea intensifies, and the skin may appear dull, irritated, or prematurely aging. These outward signs are not cosmetic inconveniences, they are signals of internal dysregulation. Hair thinning and brittle nails are also strongly linked to gut health. Hair follicles require amino acids, biotin, zinc, iron, and trace minerals to grow strong strands, while nails rely on protein and micronutrients for hardness and stability. A compromised gut lining cannot absorb these nutrients effectively, no matter how nutrient-dense the diet may be. Chronic inflammation also diverts resources away from hair and nail growth as the body shifts energy toward immune defense. Many individuals find that their hair begins shedding months before digestive symptoms appear, a delayed response to long-standing malabsorption and oxidative stress. Over time, hair may become dry, lose shine, or thin along the temples and crown, not because of aging alone, but because mitochondrial and nutrient supply chains are compromised. Hormonal symptoms offer further evidence. The gut plays a major role in regulating estrogen metabolism through the estrobolome microbes that help break down and excrete estrogen. When dysbiosis occurs, certain bacteria produce enzymes that cause estrogen to be recirculated rather than eliminated. This leads to estrogen dominant symptoms, heavy periods, PMS, breast tenderness, mood swings, fluid retention, and difficulty losing weight. Meanwhile, low-grade inflammation interferes with progesterone and thyroid production, contributing to irregular cycles, sluggish metabolism, and fertility challenges. Women may attribute these shifts to stress or age, when the underlying trigger is chronic inflammatory burden and poor estrogen clearance through the gut-liver axis. Androgen balance, critical for both men and women, is also affected. Dysbiosis can increase insulin resistance, and chronically elevated insulin raises androgen levels. This can lead to hormonal acne along the jawline and chin, increased oil production, and in some cases, hair thinning at the scalp while unwanted facial hair appears in women. These patterns are not isolated endocrine issues. They are metabolic, gut interactions playing out on the skin and hair. Supporting microbiome health reduces inflammatory signaling and improves insulin sensitivity, helping normalize androgen output without harsh medications. Gut permeability influences the skin barrier as well. When the intestinal lining weakens, inflammatory cytokines circulate and disrupt the skin's own barrier, causing dryness, sensitivity, and impaired collagen turnover. Collagen breakdown accelerates, and the skin may show premature fine lines, slower wound healing, and increased susceptibility to irritation. Many individuals try collagen supplements or topical serums, yet see minimal improvement because the gut environment is not allowing for proper collagen synthesis. Collagen is built from absorbed amino acids and requires vitamin C, zinc, and anti-inflammatory support, all of which are compromised in a damaged gut. Restoring gut lining integrity increases collagen absorption and production, naturally improving skin elasticity and texture. Hormonal balance also influences stress resilience, and stress hormones directly affect gut permeability. Elevated cortisol, whether from lifestyle, stress, or inflammation, reduces secretory IgA, thins the gut lining, and shifts the microbiome toward pro-inflammatory organisms. This forms a self-reinforcing loop. Stress weakens the gut increases inflammation, inflammation impairs hormones, and hormones disrupt skin, mood, and energy cycles. Breaking this pattern requires calming inflammation at the gut wall. When beneficial bacteria flourish, they produce short-chain fatty acids that strengthen the intestinal lining, support hormone detoxification, and modulate inflammatory responses. As the gut heals, the endocrine system begins to stabilize. Menstrual cycles often become more predictable. PMS softens, skin texture improves, and hair shedding slows. Nutrient delivery improves as well. Vitamins A, D, E, K, B-complex, iron, and omega-3 fats are absorbed more efficiently, supporting thyroid function, hormone synthesis, and tissue repair. Thyroid hormones, essential for metabolism and hair growth, depend heavily on a healthy gut for conversion and absorption. When thyroid pathways strengthen, nails grow faster, hair thickens, and skin appears more vibrant. These changes are not cosmetic miracles, but biological signs that inflammation is decreasing and cellular energy is being restored. Real skin health, hormonal stability, and hair vitality begin not with topical treatments or restrictive diets, but with sealing the gut lining, nurturing microbial diversity, and reducing systemic inflammation. When the gut is nourished and protected, beauty becomes a natural byproduct of internal balance. A practical, biological approach to gut repair begins with removing the triggers that continually inflame the digestive tract and stress the immune system. Sugars, refined carbohydrates, ultra-processed foods, and industrial seed oils create oxidative damage and feed dysbiotic organisms. Alcohol weakens the gut barrier and reduces microbial diversity. Chronic use of antibiotics, unless truly medically necessary, wipes out beneficial flora and allows opportunistic microbes to dominate. The first phase of healing is simply taking away what harms. When irritants are removed, inflammation begins to settle and the gut lining gains the conditions required for repair. People often notice within days that bloating reduces, cravings soften, and their energy feels more stable. This is not magic, it is the body no longer having to fight daily biochemical insult. Next comes repairing the gut lining. The intestinal wall is only one cell thick and vulnerable to damage from toxins, stress chemistry, food sensitivities, and inflammatory microbes. Key compounds support rebuilding. Glutamine fuels enterocyte repair and strengthens tight junctions. Collagen and bone broth provide amino acids that restore tissue resilience. Zinc supports mucosal immunity and enzyme function. Omega-3 fats reduce cytokine activity and increase membrane fluency. Quercetin stabilizes mast cells and decreases histamine-driven irritation. Vitamin D3 regulates immune tolerance and maintains barrier integrity. When these nutrients are consistently supplied, the gut lining begins to reseal, meaning fewer inflammatory signals leak into circulation. Individuals commonly report calmer digestion, steadier energy, and a more grounded nervous system as this happens. Repopulation of the microbiome follows. A depleted gut needs friendly microbes to re-establish balance. Fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kefir, kimchi, raw cultured vegetables, and unsweetened yogurt introduce beneficial organisms in natural ratios. Targeted probiotic strains can support specific needs spore-based probiotics for resilience and diversity, lactobacillus and bifido blends for foundational support, and Saccharomyces boulardii for balancing yeast overgrowth and strengthening mucosal barriers. Introducing microbes is not about overwhelming the system with high doses, but gradually re-inoculating and allowing ecological harmony to rebuild. Feeding these microbes is equally essential. They require prebiotic fibers and polyphenol-rich foods to thrive. Resistant starch from cooled potatoes or rice, green bananas, cooked oats, and legumes supports butyrate, producing bacteria which in turn nourish colon cells and reduce inflammation. Polyphenols from berries, leafy greens, herbs, olive oil, and green tea act as fuel for beneficial organisms and create an internal antioxidant environment. When the microbiome is fed correctly, it produces postbiotic metabolites that improve metabolism, reduce cravings, balance neurotransmitters, and enhance immune intelligence. Many individuals find they naturally shift away from sugar as the gut ecosystem improves, appetite stabilizes, and taste preferences evolve. Reducing immune load is another pillar. The gut and nervous system are intimately linked, and chronic stress increases cortisol, weakens mucosal immunity, and opens tight junctions between gut cells. Deep sleep, stress regulation practices, sunlight exposure, grounding in nature, calm breathing patterns, and circadian alignment all decrease inflammatory tone. Clean hydration, particularly water and mineral, rich broths, supports mucosal barrier hydration and lymphatic clearance. Slowing down while eating, chewing thoroughly, and avoiding rushed meals reduce digestive strain and improve nutrient extraction. Mitochondrial support runs alongside gut repair. Energy production drives tissue healing, immune organization, and neurotransmitter stability. Magnesium, B vitamins, clean protein sources, trace minerals, and omega-3 fats fuel mitochondrial enzymes. Gentle movement increases oxygenation and stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis without overwhelming the system. Short periods of sunlight, fresh air, and steady breathing patterns enhance cellular efficiency. As mitochondria recover, individuals feel an unmistakable shift from fatigue to steady vitality. Within days of following this framework, the most common improvements include reduced bloating, easier digestion, clearer thinking, calmer mood, and more stable energy and appetite. Cravings diminish, sleep deepens, and the mind feels less reactive. Over weeks, skin brightens, inflammation settles, bowel movements become more regular, weight begins to shift, hormones stabilize, and immunity strengthens. With consistency, a profound transition occurs. The body moves from chronic defense to repair mode. Tissues regenerate more easily, stress resilience increases, and energy becomes reliable rather than fragile. The gut is not a passive tube but a living ecosystem, a biochemical garden requiring care, nourishment, and protection. When we provide the right inputs and remove the wrong ones, the body's natural intelligence activates. Inflammation retreats, microbes rebalance, mitochondria generate energy efficiently, and hormonal and immune systems rediscover equilibrium. Healing does not come from forcing the body, but from supporting its design. The gut, when respected and nourished, becomes a powerful engine for health, clarity, emotional steadiness, physical energy, and long-term vitality.